You may not like this, but this is what peak YouTube looks like. What's cracking, guys? Omar Yusuf here, back with another video. Shortlist for a reason for Dubai. Today to talk about the overhead press. You see, recently I've started doing variations, and I had a profound lesson the other day when I did the log press for the first time. I want to talk about stacking. It was a very good reminder on that topic. My previous best overhead press is 226 pounds at 180 pounds body weight. I want to increase that. But there's a problem inherent with the overhead press if you don't know how to stack properly, and that is you're going to bleed a lot of power. So I'm going to demonstrate, I'm going to show you the muscles, what we want to do. I also want to show you a neat little diagram where you, hey, come on. This is a one take. If you guys enjoy these live, raw tip videos, make sure to like this video and let me know in the comment section below. The overhead press, let's talk about it. One of the major problems, I'm not going to go too heavy into the physics, but it's very easy to see here, and that is it's not a straight line you're pressing with overhead press. You have your face that's in the way, your head that's in the way. So really it acts as a curve. So we think it's a straight line, but instead it kind of acts like an arc here. So you press a little bit away from you and then quickly over your head. But as the weight gets heavier, what's going to happen? You're applying a force, so essentially you're trying to lift it up, but you're actually also applying a little force that way to get it from here to in front of you and then back. So there's multiple force vectors, but what happens over here as the weight goes up and up, so let's say you go from 45 pounds to 150 pounds to now you're pressing over your body weight, that's a lot of weight right there, and what's going to end up happening as you try and press it this way, it's going to try and exert a force this way. It's going to propel you backwards, and that's what happens when the weight gets very heavy. You find yourself, you press, and from here you feel yourself from this bottom position, you get pressed out, and that's kind of like the deadlift when the hips will tend to shoot up. Now some of this will innately occur when you do the overhead press, especially when the weight goes up, but what you'll tend to notice, large boys will have an easier time resisting this because they weigh more. So when a force is being applied against them, they're trying to press this way and their body's moving to compensate back that way. It's easier when you're 250 pounds than when you're a sad boy and you're 150 pounds. And if you think the lesson in this video is to gain weight, you're wrong. You're right, you're wrong. What we want to do, we want to learn basically how to replicate this tummy right here. And we can do that with our muscularity, and that's good. Because remember, the bar is going to go out and then over us. So it acts like an arc. So from this position, it acts like an arc. This is an exaggeration, okay, because we're drawing a diagram here. But this is essentially what's going to happen. So how do we prevent this force right here when we're lifting the weight from pushing us backwards and leaning back excessively? Stacking. Now, what is stacking? It means that we want to use all the muscles available to us so we could transfer the force from our triceps, our shoulders, and our traps into the barbell to move it in a more efficient path. But it doesn't start with your upper body, it actually starts with your lower body and the glutes. What's up, Peach Boys? Hence why we're going shirtless today. What we want to do, I'm going to go over some of the bases I've spoken about before, and then I'm going to talk about stacking. We want to grip the barbell, make sure it's around kind of shoulder height. From here, what we're going to do, we're going to slightly externally rotate with the shoulders. So we're going to pinch the shoulder blades back and together. And then from here, because we want to create a shelf, we're going to get underneath the bar. If you have ship mobility, here's one quick thing. If you have ship mobility, you're naturally going to be more like this. And already that's a super weak position. Again, I'm over exaggerating every position, but you want to be stacked and comfortable here where it feels, if you had 200 pounds, 300 pounds here, you can hold it all day. We'll notice that the wrist is in alignment with the elbows. But it doesn't start with the upper body. Okay, what we actually want to do, we want to choose a comfortable stance. For some people, recently I've been experimenting instead of just shoulder width, slightly wider. And then from there, I externally rotate with the hips. So I pop open the knees, I squeeze the glutes, and then from here, so we squeeze the glutes, we brace the core, and naturally, there's a little bit of that thoracic extension. So we squeeze the glutes, we're bracing the core, which means we're bracing as if someone's going to punch us. We take that big breath into the belt, which is why I'm wearing a belt. You'll notice on the overhead press, I do think it helps you out. Wearing a belt, you brace, take that breath, brace, and then from here, instead of starting from a neutral spine position, from the upper body, we actually arc a little bit, so we have a little bit of an arch with our upper body, some of that thoracic extension, and we keep either our chin up or out of the way, so when we begin to press, we press up, up and away, and then over, our face doesn't get in the way. But if we're not stacked, if we're not feeling strong, what's gonna happen when we use a lot of weight? It goes like this. And from this position, like I said before, it's terribly inefficient. from there, you can't hope to recover the overhead press. And that's why most people, correct me if I'm wrong, you'll tend to fail when you start. You'll get it out to here, and then it's somewhere like around eye level to around here. Not that I've never seen anyone miss up here, but once you're up in this position, it's pretty easy from here to lock it out. You might be drained because of all the force you're applying before that, but if you're to fail the overhead press, it's something lost in you not stacking. And unfortunately, if you're a lighter person, I lost 20 pounds recently, right? So I'm 180 pounds now. I feel that difference. That's why my overhead press is tanked. I took for granted, Severin, being a thick boy, being a thick, happy boy. And how we fix that once again is by making everything tight here. So we want to think of the concept of a pillar. So from a side angle here, every individual component is stacked on top of one another. And I think it is said this, I might be wrong in saying this, but when they did an EMG reading of the overhead press, the first muscle to activate, not that it's a huge contributor, but just showing you that your total body is kind of involved, would actually be your calves. So in summary, we're not going to keep this too long, but we want to think of the concept of establishing a pillar, stacking 5 key areas. And those areas would be the quads, the glutes, the core via bracing, the lats, and then finally the shoulders themselves being set in that right position, so elbows in alignment with wrists, so we're in a powerful position. Those 5 things, once you add them together, will have a huge impact on your overhead press. And I would put forth, Severin, that the overhead press is my favorite shoulder exercise. I think it's a fantastic movement. So let's talk about each one real quick. We're gonna get underneath the bar. So again, slightly wider than shoulder width, probably grip. We externally rotate, we retract the shoulders, and then here we get underneath. From this position, remember, we establish our stance, so maybe slightly wider than shoulder width. We squeeze the glutes, so glutes are now being squeezed. Might be hard to see with the black pants, but it's okay. Quads are being squeezed as well. Core, so we take a very big breath into our belly, and then we brace it down as if someone's gonna punch us. From here, the lats, which I'll show you afterwards, we're actually flaring them a little bit, so they're in a tight position. And then up top, once again, wrists in alignment with elbows. Elbow might be a little bit in front or underneath the bar, so shoulders are now set. And from this position, when we take the breath, we press out and over. So it looks out and over, and from there, we're making sure that the body isn't being jammed backwards. And a little note on the lats. For some people, when they have the overhead press position, and they're like this, they're not doing anything with the lats. We want to think of the concept, once again, of the shelf, both in the front, but the back is supporting it. So from here, actually, I'm flaring the lats a little bit. So we're not here with a neutral spine. We're extending the thoracic area, and we're flaring the lats a little bit. And you might feel, and that's why, once again, another component here, we have the serratus. And there's all these little things that contribute to a stronger overhead press. And the leaner you are, the more aware you have to be. Because once again, if we're a thick boy, our body weight naturally takes care of a lot of these things. But when we're skinny Jimmy, we need to figure it out. And this has been one of the keys recently for my overhead press. Actually, that, what do you say, the log press, the 215 pounds. It was like a push press, first time doing it. It felt great. There's a lot more in the tank, but it really reinforced it, because when you're lifting over the weight that you're overhead pressing, you need to be tight on that thing, otherwise you'll be shaking like a leaf. So the overhead press differs from the bench press in that you have to learn about stability and involve a lot of musculature in the body. I would say this is very important for everyone to get right, because the overhead press, as I said before, is, in my opinion, the best shoulder exercise for hypertrophy. There are other ones that are also fantastic, but the overhead press, it really is the king. That's all the time we have. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like the video. Let me know in the comment section below what you want to see next, because now we're in this mass phase. We care about all the movements. We're trying to get granular with the details, which, yes, definitely make a difference over time. Don't be a sad boy. Be a strong boy. I'll catch all you guys, my rascals, in that next video. Peace.
Eat your vegetables, eat your vegetables, eat your fucking vegetables.
So Severin can testify that this is not an optical illusion. This right here, this microphone, this lav mic, this is called steel wool chest hair. You might not like this, but this is what peak performance looks like. There's no tape. Can you just confirm, Severin, you're here in person?
There is no tape.
Wow. David Blaine.
That's just manliness holding it there.
That is honestly high testosterone. You've never seen a chest with this much hair.
Except for every morning when I wake up, of course.
Yeah, besides yours, but you're like, bro,
But yeah,
you might want to get that shit checked out.